welcome into Coach's Corner. I am your host, Lucas Kochevar, as always, and we're back with another episode as the dog gets situated behind me. And we have some baseball to talk about. We have to talk about some World Series stuff. I feel like I kind of dipped on baseball once the Braves lost, but out of respect for these two teams, I'll bring it back up because the Rangers are on the cusp of winning it all. It's bottom of the 7th right now. As you can see on the screen, Rangers are up 1-0. As we record this, we'll see if the game finishes before I finish it. But either way, I just want to give a shout out to Adolis Garcia. He went out with an injury, unfortunately, but he was unbelievable this postseason. One of the hotter performances I've ever seen from a player, with him and like Randy Rosarena in the bubble year. But either way, he was on an insane heater. Hate that he had to leave the series, but he left it in good hands with Corey Seager, who is an absolute monster. Corey Seager is the man. He's a killer, and he's just been great all postseason. Continues it here against the Diamondbacks. And it stinks, too, for the Diamondbacks because they did have a no-hitter going with Zach Gallen, but as you can see, it turned on him quickly, and now they are in a 1-0 hole. So we will see how the Rangers try and win this game or blow this game, either way, throughout the course of the show. You might get a live Lucas reaction, kind of like watch along here while we're talking some other sports. But I want to cut back to a little bit of NFL thoughts, a little bit of pre-playoff, preview thoughts, that kind of situation. The College Football Playoff Committee ranked Ohio State number 1. And I understand it. I do get it. My bias is shining through here as you can hear me try and talk through why they're number 1. I get it. They went on the road to Notre Dame and won. They beat Penn State at home. And frankly, that's it. And my issue isn't even that I think Georgia's better, which I do, and I think a lot of people do. It's just like, if Ohio State just dismantled either of those teams, like if they blew out Notre Dame like 45-3 or something on the road, or they beat Penn State 49-10, like if one of the wins was an emphatic good win, I could get on board with Ohio State being number 1. But the fact that, their offense just hasn't looked good all year. I don't think it's been consistent at all outside of like Marvin Harrison doing Marvin Harrison things. And their defense is good. I think that's established. But it's just like, I don't know how to feel about certain situation. Like, I just don't love that they're number 1 because I don't think that they've been dominant in those wins that, in a way that I think Georgia has been dominant in every win except for Auburn. Like, you can say they should have beat those bad teams early on by 60, and they didn't, but they still won by a considerable margin. They destroyed Kentucky, just destroyed Florida. And like I said, the Auburn game was on the road, and we just saw how Ohio State handled an opponent on the road who isn't very good, frankly. They beat them by 2 touchdowns, and it was a struggle the whole game and to really do anything. And the reasoning just doesn't make a ton of sense outside of those 2 wins. And even those 2 wins, I think, are a little bit fraudulent. Notre Dame's handling of that game down the stretch was purely on Notre Dame fumbling the ball instead of Ohio State pushing the issue and beating them. I felt like it was Notre Dame losing. So that's just tough. Michigan and Florida State, I figured they would be in. Washington and Oregon, first 2 out. I feel like, I don't know if, it'll be very curious to see if Michigan wins out and what happens if they play Ohio State. And let's say they win, or no, they lose. Let's say they lose. Like, I'm very curious how they're going to do this Michigan-Ohio State thing again, especially if, amidst all the Michigan stuff, the stealing stuff. But, Michigan, I don't think is going to play. They're not going to play anyone because Penn State. I don't consider Penn State a serious team. It's just the Big Ten just rubs me the wrong way, and it's just because I don't I don't think it's bad, but I don't think it's good either. I don't think the Big Ten is highly rated as it should be probably. Because I think Ohio State and Michigan are fine teams. I just don't think either of them are one. I don't think you can justify either one of them being in the playoff with one loss. And but these teams are just going to get screwed out. Oregon and Washington are going to get screwed somehow if they don't if they finish out Oregon wins out, Washington wins out. I feel like one of them is going to get screwed. That's just how I feel. So I'm worried. This first playoff ranking just kind of has me confused, but I understand it. It's just a very strange 1 through 4 outside of Florida State. I think is a good 4. Top 3, I'm just a little skeptical. So, but my NFL thought, I do have to touch on Joe Burrow. I think Joe Burrow is all the way back. Joe Burrow had a great performance against the 49ers. He had an unbelievable play where he stiff-armed Nick Bosa to the ground, was on the run, was getting hawked by Fred Warner coming down, the best, fastest linebacker in the NFL, and delivers an absolute dime, not even a dime, a dot to his receiver, who was all the way covered, and it just didn't matter. So, if this is the healthy Joe Burrow, so it might be a little bit dangerous for the AFC. I don't know what the Bengals have against starting out the season fast, but I mean once they get kicking, they are really a good scary team, and I think we're starting to see maybe the defense is also coming around because they forced 49ers and Brock Purdy into some tough situations that they couldn't get out of, and like I said, when Joe Burrow's on, he's amongst the best. Placement, everything is just so crisp with him, and I think he's pretty good. I think he's a pretty good quarterback, spoiler alert. So, yeah, Bengals all the way back. So, I'm excited to get to this. I'm sorry, I'm pushing along the show here, the talk about segment, because I'm excited to get to the picks, the college football picks, because your boy went 10-2. 10-2 this past week. Unbelievable stuff. I thank you for the round of applause. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Either way, I killed it. I just killed it. Okay, so Georgia Southern -1.5 against Georgia State. They handled their business last week. SMU -20.5 against Tulsa. SMU was up 50-3 in the second quarter of that game. Duke, Louisville over. That one was tough. I should have picked Louisville straight up. I liked Louisville. Their helmets were unbelievable. And Duke, I think, has finally come down to earth. Still a good team, but they've come down to earth. Notre Dame -20.5 against Pitt. That was an easy one. Kansas State blanked Houston 41-0, so that 17.5 was easy. My lock of the week, Arizona +3.5. They won outright. Wildcats, we'll get to them later. UNLV +7.5 against Fresno State. They lost by 7, so I knew that half point would come in handy. UGA Florida over 47.5. Carson Beck did that masterclass against the Gators, picked them apart. It was beautiful. Wazoo -5.5 against Arizona State. They lost that. That's the second and the only loser. Cincy at Oklahoma State over 52.5. That was a winner. Ollie Gordon, the running back for Oklahoma State, is very, very good at football. Nebraska -2.5 against Purdue. That was easy money. And Oregon -6.5 at Utah. Easy money. They killed them. They killed Utah in Utah, which I didn't know this. Utah had an 18-game winning streak at home. That was a kind of a crazy stat. But no more as the Ducks go there and beat them. So either way, we're moving on to this next week. We're moving on to week, number 9? It has to be 9, right? I think it might be week. Yeah, it's week 9 for everyone. I was reading the Notre Dame schedule. It threw me off. I had like 16 picks heading into this. I whittled it down to 14. Big of me. And I gotta say, I love the board. I love the board this week. And these college football matchups are very similar to the early season, week 4, I want to say we had, where it was good team after good team after good team playing each other. We have some really good matchups on Saturday. that I'm frankly I'm pumped for. I think it's going to be a great Saturday of football, including Georgia Bulldogs taking on Missouri here in Athens. That'll be a big game for Georgia. I think this, if Georgia wins that game by a lot, I feel like that has to be the win that puts them over Ohio State. Okay, it still irks me. Okay, I'm sorry. Let's get to the picks. Wisconsin at Indiana. I have Wisconsin. Oh, nope, I don't. I have the under. It's my bad. The under 45.5. Feels like a Big Ten game that will just not really deliver. Indiana's not very good. Wisconsin starting a freshman, I want to say. Good quarterback. I think he's fine. It's just I don't believe a freshman will put up 6 touchdowns by himself, and Indiana does nothing. I just really like the under there. Notre Dame -3 at Clemson. This feels like a bait, like a very bait type pick where, the public's all over it. It's at Clemson, a noon game. It has all the makings of a nasty game, but I'm still riding with the Irish. I still think their quarterback is miles better. Sam Hartman is miles better than Kate Klubnik. Clemson's kind of in a tailspin. I don't know if they'll be bowl eligible. They'll play some nobodies here, but it could be dicey because they do have to play South Carolina. That'll give them a game. This game right here could push them really close to a 6-6 finish. We'll see if they do win this. Next one, Kansas State at Texas. The over 49.5. Texas is playing their backup quarterback, I think, again, Malik Murphy, who had a good day against BYU. They put up points against BYU with him. I think they can do the same against Kansas State. Kansas State has found something. I think, they've been really trending upwards. They're still alive in the Big 12 at 6-2. I do like Kansas State plus 4.5 also, but I'm just going to go with the over. Just give me the points. Big 12 game feels like a typical shootout. 50 feels low for this, but I'll take it either way. Next one, Texas A&M at Ole Miss. I have Ole Miss -3. This is, at the Grove. Have to say it's in Oxford. That's big for me. I don't love Jackson Dart. I don't. But I do think that they will cover at home. I think they have a good offense. I think it'll show up. They'll win this game by at least 3. I do feel good about that. The last Bedlam for foreseeable future. It breaks my heart. Bedlam is one of the best games. Oklahoma at Oklahoma State. Moment of silence for Bedlam. Okay. Oklahoma State is an automatic over, 61.5. This game is just always over. It's an over machine type game, and we have to do it for the last time here. Another moment of silence for Bedlam. Yeah, the total it feels right. It just feels right here. Oklahoma's coming off a loss. I think they will win this game just because I think they'll be fired up. Dylan Gabriel, I think, is pretty solid. I think he can put up points. Ollie Gordon for Oklahoma State is a monster. Like I said, a monster. We have some funders here, some fun unders here to get to. Service Academy unders. We always do them. We have to do them. They are America. This is America. This is America's game right here. If we had I want an eagle in my room right now to look over my shoulder, an American eagle, to tell me that we're going to watch this game and we're going to love it. We're going to love this terrible football that'll give us an under at 31.5. We will do that as a nation. Either way, yes, give me the Army versus Air Force under 31.5. Next game, Kentucky at Mississippi State. 7:30 kick makes this a little bit of a nervous one for me, and also the public's on this. Dang. Kentucky -3.5. Coming off a tough loss against Tennessee at home, I think they'll want to prove something. I think they are a good team. It's just they're kind of middle of the road in the SEC. And Mississippi State, 4-4 record feels like it doesn't feel real. That does not. Mississippi State is not a good team. They're not. So give me Kentucky on the road against Mississippi State. Another funder here. Iowa versus Northwestern, 31.5. I think the line was 30, which was a record. The total was very close to being in the 20s, which is hilarious, but we have to take the under here. Northwestern's been frisky lately. I think they might be the worst team in the Big Ten. Maybe. Depends on which week, but Iowa's also not great. I like Iowa minus 5.5 here, but this is just purely we have to go the under here. Also, they're playing this at Wrigley Field, which is a fun wrinkle into a hilarious game. This is gonna be just a hilarious time. Next game we have LSU at Alabama. I have Alabama minus 3, and it pains me to say that, but I do think Alabama will win this game. I think they'll do it pretty easily just because I think the LSU defense is absolute trash. And so Jalen Milroe, although he's not good, he'll have a good game. He'll trick us. He'll trick some people into thinking he's good again. But frankly, it's just LSU's defense stinks. And although I do like Jaden Daniels and I do think he'll be pretty good for LSU, I don't have faith in him to go I don't have faith in him to keep up the pace with an offense that'll probably be firing on Saturday. So give me Bama minus 3. SMU at Rice. Give me the over 58.5. SMU's on a tear. I think they can cover that on their own if they really get to going, but I don't think they'll do that. I don't think they'll do that on their own, but SMU's offense is rolling. Rice has JT Daniels. Love me some JT Daniels. They've been playing some good football as well. Just fought in a tough game against Tulane. I think they'll be pumped up to be back home at night. I think that's just a good recipe for some points. Next, we have Boise State at Fresno State. Give me Fresno State minus 3 here. I do love me some Fresno State. Boise State is an all-right team, but going on the road here, I don't love them. I don't love them in this spot. Like I said, Fresno's kind of rolling. Winning by a field goal feels like a doable thing. Tulane at Eastern Carolina. I have Tulane minus 17.5. Tulane's a really good team, and Eastern Carolina is not good. East Carolina was I always say it. They're my team from last year. I salute them for winning me a ton of bets last year. Can't ride with them this time. I'm sorry, East Carolina. I've turned my back on you. But next game, UCLA at Arizona. I originally had the over in this game, but something snapped in me. I said, Arizona might be my East Carolina. Arizona might be the team that I just have to rely on. I feel like every time I pick them or pick something with them, they win that bet for me. I appreciate it every time. I think they'll win this game outright. Give me Arizona against UCLA, 7-1 against the spread, at home. 3-1 at home. I like Arizona. Just win this game. Win this game outright, Arizona. You guys are monsters. You are my team of the year. And then last but not least, Kansas at Iowa State. A night game in Ames. I've seen this too many times before. I've seen this story. Iowa State's really picked it up so far. From a very tough start. I think they win this game minus 2.5. Iowa State has something voodoo about playing night games at home, and I think they'll be pumped to play Kansas. And I think Bean is still playing for Kansas, the backup, which good player, but give me Iowa State. Also coming off an emotional win against Oklahoma, I think this is a very scary spot that I've seen countless Big 12 teams squander their opportunity at the big title at the playoff because they can't beat Iowa State at night. So give me the Cyclones to beat the Jayhawks outright. Not outright, they're favorites. Either way, they're going to win that game. Then touch on some NFL action, then get out of here. Tennessee at Pittsburgh, the Thursday night game. Bill Levis is starting against the Steelers. Will Levis is a good quarterback. I hate to say it. I think he might be a good quarterback. I know normally I'd be like, he played the Falcons. Falcons let everyone do anything to him. But he actually did look really good against a good Falcons defense. The Falcons defense is a good defense this year. And he just kind of tore him to shreds. And so I think he'll have a good game. I do like him. I'm also curious if Kenny Pickett's going or not. I don't know if I saw it or not, or if that was 2 weeks ago he got hurt. Either way. Oh, man. I'm going to go Pittsburgh to win this just because I think Pittsburgh likes winning ugly, and I think they're going to win this game in an ugly way. 36.5 is the over-under is hilarious, but I'd probably take that under. Primetime unders, I think they're like 48 and like 29. It's a crazy stat, but the under goes pretty much most primetime games. But I'm curious to see what Will Levis does against this Steelers defense. It is a good defense. It's just, can the offense keep up? That's always a big question. Next, we have the Germany game. Miami versus Kansas City, 9:30 a.m., 6-2 and 6-2. Interesting thing here, Miami is traveled already to Germany. They're there hanging out. Kansas City's traveling later in the week. We saw the Bills do that against Jaguars, and it did not work out, and they woke up late. I might have to pick the Dolphins here, but this will be a big test for the Dolphins because they haven't beaten anyone legit yet. And Kansas City, I feels like the front runner in the AFC right now, just odds wise. I mean, they have Patrick Mahomes obviously, and their defense is so good. Just that'll be the fun matchup, is the Miami offense versus the Kansas City defense. But pretty big game here for Miami. We'll see how they do in this, but I do like the Dolphins there to win. Minnesota at Atlanta. Desmond Ridder, you are dead. He is out of there. He's not the starter. Taylor Heineke in there. It's going to be fun. It's going to be bad, but it's going to be fun. Jaren Hall starting for Minnesota after Kirk Cousins tore his Achilles last week. That really, really sucks. He was having a great year. People were really not high on Kirk Cousins, I'd say like 2 years ago. And then he kind of is just like giving everyone a reason to not hate him with the quarterback show, and also just the fact that he's been playing really good. Like it's one of those, like, you can like Kirk Cousins in doses, but it's like there are times where it's just, you can do better with like just an athletic quarterback, more like just a flashier quarterback you want to see. But Kirk Cousins is one of those, in and out. I'm doing all the stereotypes. I just realized it. I'm doing all the very, very crazy, like, he's a hard worker, lunch pail type of quarterback. Like, Kirk Cousins is a good quarterback, okay? He is. So it sucks that he's out for the year with an Achilles. The Vikings were starting to turn it around. They're probably going to make the playoffs, or they were probably going to make the playoffs. But, I mean, now they also have a chance to tank and go for the top 5 pick or something. Like, not bad, but either way, I do like Atlanta in this. I'm, like I said, super excited to see what Taylor Heineke does with his offense. Next game's another big one. Someone laid it out. I think one of those dumb aggregate accounts on Twitter. Someone pointed out that like from 9:30 to like basically we're gonna get to the abomination. No, Sunday night's a good game too. From 9:30 to 8 o'clock, we're getting some great games, like fantastic. And so second great game of the day, Seattle at Baltimore. Seattle's been on a roll lately. I didn't realize they were 5-2 until I saw the record pop up like last week. I mean, they're playing really good football right now. I'm still a little bit skeptical of Geno. Just now I am, because I wasn't. I kind of tongue twisted myself there. I was good about Geno after last year. I was like, yep, he is a good quarterback. He is the guy. They gave him a bunch of money, and I don't think he's been impressive this year. Frankly, I don't think he has been. I think he's been fine, but I think that defense has really made money for the Seattle team. And, I mean, Baltimore is playing really good football as well. They just kind of have been rolling slowly. Like, I think no one really pays attention to Baltimore because, I mean, we're used to either Lamar Jackson being hurt or them losing in the first or second round, like, pretty quickly. But they're playing really good, so it's like, you gotta give them props. And I think Baltimore wins this game at home. But I do think I feel like it'll be an ugly good game. This feels like one of those, it's mucked up because Lamar doesn't look great. He fumbles the ball once or twice, and then Geno doesn't look fantastic either, but the defenses are playing good. It'll be an interesting game for sure. Arizona and Cleveland. Arizona's might get Kyler Murray back. That's kind of exciting. That's kind of cool. Well, I don't think it'll happen this week. I think it's happening next week. Clayton Tune, the rookie, is starting for Arizona, so like, it'll be an ugly one against a really good Cleveland defense. Like, this has makings of a stomping. Rams at Green Bay. This is another one that might be pretty nasty, especially if Matthew Stafford can't play. Brett Ripien versus Jordan Love. Anyone? Green Bay has to score some points. That's it, frankly. I mean, Jordan Love has not looked great. The coaching has not looked good. The running backs are blech. Like, it's a young team. It's a young offense, and I get that, but you want to see encouraging signs. I don't think they've even been encouraging. Tampa Bay at Houston. This has the makings of a good game. Baker Mayfield, I think, is coming back down to earth a little bit, but he's still fine. CJ Stroud had a bad game last week. I expect him to turn it around. But it'll be interesting because, I mean, it's not like he's going to play a bad team to get back on track. Like, he's going to have to work for it because Tampa Bay has a really solid defense. So, but yeah, probably give me the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. They got a little bit more veteran experience, good players. Washington at New England. Oh, Washington, the big trade deadline seller, gave away Chase Young and Montez Sweat. Screw them for taking that Bears deal over the Falcons. That sucked. But either way, Washington is a fine team. New England is a team. I can't say this will be a appealing game. I think it'll be a very embarrassing game for the Patriots if they lose this like in a blowout at home to Sam Howell, who has turned it on recently, killed Philadelphia in the first half. But it'll be interesting to see how two bad teams, make a good game. Maybe I don't know. Next, we have the Bears at New Orleans. This is kind of big on if Justin Fields plays or not. If he doesn't, this game, it's a good time to get a nap in Chicago if Tyson Bagent is playing in this game. The Saints are also not appealing really at all. Just a bad brand of football. They won last week. How they should be winning is through the ground game. Alvin Kamara, Derek Carr, throwing the ball downfield, like not at the line of scrimmage. It'll be just I'm not a believer in what the Saints are doing. Don't let them trick you. Indianapolis at Carolina. Gardner Minshew traveling to Carolina. That's fun. Frank Wright taking on his old team, though. That's the actual headline here. They got their first win last week, so a round of applause for the Panthers. Bryce Young looked good. He looked like a first overall pick. Shocker. I don't know. I mean, I like the Colts here. I think the Colts are, frisky team. I do think they like to hang around. I think they're competitive. They have a little bit of juice. And I think going on the road here, maybe, it's like, hey, let's lock back in. Maybe they get the run game established. I think that would be a good idea with Jonathan Taylor. And Carolina just doesn't interest me at all. Giants at Las Vegas. Raiders fired their coach. Things just kind of happened, and I just kind of forgot about mentioning those things. But the Raiders fired Josh McDaniels and the GM. They were heading in a terrible direction. I don't know what they were doing. They still have a mess on their hands with this Jimmy G contract now, and he's benched. Aiden O'Connell's going to start for Vegas to see what a rookie has. I mean, why not? Just Raiders have a whole heap of trouble in their building, and the Giants aren't much better. I mean, don't know how Tyrod Taylor's doing. I think Daniel Jones is slated to play, but I mean, even then, it's like, Daniel Jones off a neck injury. Like, I think it's a good time to get a nap around in Las Vegas or New York at 4:25. This was another big game of the day. Dallas at Philadelphia. Finally, we get a test for Dallas to see maybe they did figure it out. Maybe they can beat an elite team. Philadelphia is an elite team. A.J. Brown's been on an absolute tear. It'll be super interesting to see how Dan Quinn tries to cover him. And, yeah, I mean, what more can you say about this game? I think it is going to be I think this might be the good Dallas game against an elite team. I think this might be the competitive one. But it is in Philadelphia, so give me the Eagles. Buffalo at Cincinnati. This will be hopefully a great game. I'm hoping that Josh Allen plays like good Josh Allen. That would be more fun to watch if he was that, not this bad turnover machine Josh Allen. But anyways, I mentioned Joe Burrow. He's been playing great football recently. I think he's maybe snapped out of it. It's at home in Cincinnati. I think that makes it a little bit tougher. I mean, I don't know if you know this. Breaking news here. I don't know if you... Damar Hamlin. Damar Hamlin, does anyone know that name? Does anyone? I'm curious. Damar Hamlin is making his return to Cincinnati. How will it go? I mean, that's going to be such a story that they're going to harp on, but Damar Hamlin won't even step on the field in a meaningful play. Like, respectfully, it's not going to happen. I think they really want to cut him. If I'm being completely honest, I think they totally just want to cut Damar Hamlin, and then he'll go make a great motivational speaker, and it'll be all good and hunky-dory. I mean, very happy that he's okay. Like, seriously, I am, but he's kind of, they kind of milked this cow a little dry either way. But, I mean, like I said, on the football field, though, this will be a good game. I'm excited for it. I'm curious how the Buffalo defense will handle Cincinnati because they are so banged up. Then we finish off with Chargers and Jets. This is a must-win for Justin Herbert. It just is. I mean, going on the road against the Jets is a task. I won't say an easy one. I won't say a hard one because it is the Chargers. It is a task. They were terrible last week, and Zach Wilson is figuring it out. Maybe I don't know. He looks fine, but either way, I mean, Jets defense is really good, so that could throw some trouble at Justin Herbert. But hopefully Herbert got like a we're back game against the Bears, and maybe he'll be okay. So either way, that's all the NFL action. We're in the top of the ninth. Oh, no. Oh, Corbin Carroll or Alex Thomas. Someone just let the ball go out of their glove. Error on the outfielder. That's a triple. And that is the Rangers up 3-0 in the ninth. Oh, that's going to eat him alive. The Rangers are on the brink of the World Series, ladies and gentlemen. Let's clap it up for the Rangers. This definitely won't age poorly. We won't be back here at Coach's Corner next week and being like, man, Rangers blew it. No, they're going to win this. They're going to be fine. So congrats, clap it up. Clap it up for the Rangers. So, either way, that'll do it for this week's edition of Coach's Corner. I'm your host, Lucas Kochevar. As always, make sure you check out the show on anywhere you listen to podcasts, here on the YouTube channel. And make sure to share with family, friends, all that good stuff, all the people you know, your bus driver, if you know a bus driver or something, I don't know. Either way, guys, we'll see you next week. Goodbye.